Thank you, ma'am. My name is Tahir Noor, and I'm with BISP since last 7 years now. Since most of you are not aware of the social safety net, so I will set the context. I will give you a small presentation on what is the social safety net, what are the important ingredients of a social safety net, and how NSER fits in that. So this is basically a social safety net, which are the programs which protect persons or households against either a chronic incapacity to work, economic shocks, or catastrophic expenditure risks. Social safety nets are basically non-contributory transfers programs which have certain objectives like redistribution, income to the poorest and the vulnerable segments of the society, enable households to make productive investments in their future, helping households to manage risk and avoid negative coping tactics in case of any shock. If there is any trouble in the household, if there is any accident or any emergency, they should not be selling their assets, rather they should be having some positive coping strategies, and allowing government to make choices that support efficiency and growth. Then BISP is the major social safety net, largest social safety net in Pakistan, and there are three important pillars of any social safety net on which the foundation of a social safety net is built. One is targeting, that how objective and scientific is the targeting. Targeting means you have to choose the people whom you would be serving. So the first thing is that if it is objective and scientific, then all your effort would be going into the right direction. If this foundation is not right, then whatever you do, there won't be much result of your choice. Second thing is disbursement, that how transparent and efficient is the disbursement. Social safety net chooses the individuals, the households who deserve certain benefits, and those benefits are provided to those households. Then the second pillar is that those disbursements should be transparent and efficient. And the third important pillar of a social safety net is the monitoring and evaluation, that how often and rigorous is the monitoring and evaluation of the entire process of targeting as well as disbursement. So what we are talking today, NSER, is basically the first instrument, the first pillar, targeting. We have to choose whom we want to support in the future by the BISP or any other program of the government of Pakistan or any federal provincial government. Targeting is important because it maximizes the benefit of the program, it ensures social equality, then it minimizes the budget constraints with effective targeting. If you have right targeting, the efficient targeting, then with minimum budget you can do maximum benefits to those targeted population. Then there are various targeting methods which are employed all over the world for social safety nets like BISP or any other program. One is the means test. Means test means that you have the exact information of what means, what assets, what income and a household has, and you collect that information and you rate those households according to those exact information. Second is the proxy means test. Proxy means test is that you don't have sufficient accurate information about the assets or the income of the households, so you choose proxy indicators on the basis of which you can determine the socioeconomic status of the household. Like we have the approach we are adopting, which BISP has adopted so far, is the proxy means test. So I will give you a little detail about it so you could be able to understand fully what proxy means test is and how we are targeting. We have the questionnaire which asks questions about like how many members in the households, what is their education level, what are their ages, what are their disabilities, then their assets, means how many rooms are in the households, do they have fridge, television, car, livestock, all these things. And all these 10 questions have given certain scores. And those scores, when one question is completed with 45, 50 questions, then those scores are calculated on each household is rated on the basis of those scores, which on the scale of 0 to 100. So, and the better the score, the better socioeconomic conditions of the household, lower the score, the poorer the household is. So this is the proxy means test. By adopting proxy indicators, we evaluate the socioeconomic status of the households. Means test, of course, is the best possible solution, but that is not possible to adopt in Pakistan because we don't have that well-documented economy that means test could be applied. Third option is community-based targeting, which Sardar Sahab, the speaker, was just mentioning, that you ask the community that who you think is the most deserving household. That approach we are also trying in data space. I will come to it later. Then the fourth is the self-targeting, that the households themselves, they decide, they come to you and they tell us that what are their socioeconomic conditions. Targeting mechanism of BISP is already briefly mentioned. First we started with the parliamentarian phase. That was basically, we could say, a community-based targeting, where forms were given to the parliamentarians. They got it filled from their constituencies. They submitted the form to BISP, and then we developed a screening criteria. That criteria was applied. Sorry, we received almost 4.2 million forms, and after applying that screening criteria, 2.2 million forms were accepted, and they became BISP beneficiaries, and they started getting BISP benefits. But that was a very subjective method, not very transparent, so we adopted to this poverty scorecard, which was PMT based. This was a survey which was done in 2010-11. We call it a survey, but as you are all students, you would be knowing that survey is generally a sample-based thing. But this is not a sample-based thing, this is a census. We go to each and every household, and we went to each and every household in 2010-11 as well. So we can call it poverty census. So we visited each and every household, proxy mean test that was assigned as the eligibility criteria, the main instrument, and 16.17 on a scale of 0 to 100. We have the score of each household, 27 million household. We have the score for each household on the range between 0 to 100. And 16.17 or below, that is the cutoff to become BISP beneficiary. Any household which has a score of 16.17, all the families in that household, they will become eligible for this benefits, and they will start getting this benefits. So we did this with the help of partner organizations. We collected data of 27 million households and 155 million population, which was almost 87% of the population at that time. So that was a big exercise, and on the basis of that, 5.3 million families, they are receiving benefits from BISP since last 8 years. And so far we have disbursed more than 461 billion rupees. It's not a small amount. 461 billion rupees means $4.6 billion BISP has disbursed among these poorest segments of the society in last 7-8 years. Reasons for updating NSER, there are certain reasons. First, which is time lag, that it is almost 5-6 years old data, so there is definitely a need for updating the registry. Then there are issues with the PMT. There are inherent issues in the PMT, in the design level and the implementation level, which can cause distortion in the data, and to remove those distortions, it is imperative that after a certain period of time, this all exercise should be done again. So, and international best practices are between 3 to 5 years, generally the update is being done. That is done to reduce the inclusion error. Inclusion error means those households which were not deserving but they become eligible, so they should be removed. And the exclusion error, those households which were deserving but were not included in the program, they should be included in the program. So that is the very basic reasons for updating the lesson. Then the lessons learned, the survey which was done in 2010-11, that was the first time exercise in the history of Pakistan, so we learned a lot of lessons from that, and we are then using those lessons in that. The last thing is the static registry. The basic problem with our current database is that it is a static registry. Static means that when the survey was done in 10-11, and we have 27 million households, out of that 5.3 million are getting benefits, but those households which were not covered in that survey, if anyone was left out at that time, they had no option to come to us or to become a beneficiary. And they could not provide that data. We cannot take their data, despite the fact they are eligible or not eligible, but we cannot include or exclude anyone until next survey is done. Survey is a very expensive exercise, extensive exercise. It is like census. Last time we spent almost 6.5 billion rupees on this exercise, and this time our estimates are that we will be spending about 8.5 billion rupees. So it's a very huge and expensive exercise. It cannot be repeated every 3rd, 5th year because it's very costly. So we have to move from static to dynamic registry so that we won't have to incur that expenditure every 3rd year. NSER update methodology. This time we have been doing a slight different from the first time. We have experience from the first time. So we presented the proposal to our board. Board advised us. The BISP is run by the management board, which have the members from the government as well as from the private sector, poverty experts, academics, all those are the members of the board. So they advised us that we should constitute an advisory committee, which should include provinces and as well as the poverty experts. They should guide us how to go about it. Then we have to establish a value for money for both the approaches. We would be testing a desk approach, where the self-registration would be done, and the door-to-door approach, which we had done already. So we have to evaluate the value for money of both the approaches, so we could decide which approach to follow in the national rollout. And we have got government approval for that. So we consulted constitute these consultancies, committees, technical committees, which constitute on the provincial representatives, poverty experts, international and national academics, and they guided us how to do this exercise. So this is the program cycle. How we would be doing? We would be doing first desk approach in 4 districts: Haripur, Bahawalpur, Nasirabad, and Sikar. There we established desks with the help of NADRA and the UC level, and ask the population, whosoever thinks that they should be giving their data to the government, they should come and provide their data to us. This approach is almost finished now. We have collected almost 80% of the household. They provided their data to us. That data is with BISP. Now the second is the targeting performance survey. This would be a sample-based survey which would be done in these 4 districts. With this World Bank would be doing this targeting performance survey, which would be assessing the actual poverty in those 4 districts. Then we would be doing door-to-door survey in 16 districts, including these 4 districts. As these 4 districts, desk approach is finished now. So these 16 districts would be done door-to-door survey. We would go to each and every household, collect data, and then we will establish value for money of both the approaches. We would compare the results of this desk approach and the door-to-door approach with this targeting performance, which will tell us the actual poverty level. So we will see how cost-effective both the approaches are, what are the inclusion and exclusion rates in both the approaches, and how institutional capacity we have for conducting both the approaches. On the basis of that value for money, we would then decide what would be the approach we would be following for the national rollout. This time we have a revised PMT. PMT is the proxy means test, which I mentioned earlier, and PSC is the poverty scorecard. That instrument or the questionnaire is called poverty scorecard. Then PMT is the formula on the basis of which we calculate the score. Last time scores were derived from the PSLM of 2007-8. This time these scores are derived from the highest 2013-14, the latest current available data with the government of Pakistan. Then we have this time the different weights for variables from the last survey. So if someone has this impression that we were part of the previous survey and we know what answers to provide, they would be in for a surprise because there would be different weights. Every question has a different weight. Now we have included new variables like the urban-rural divide. Urban-rural has a significant impact on the socio-economic conditions. So this variable has been included. Gender variable has been included. Agroclimatic zones have been included. They have weight. The rural area in central Punjab and rural area in interior Sindh, they don't have the similar contours or the similar features, and the population living there, they also face different kind of problems. So we have also added questions to design complementary initiatives. What are those questions? I will just tell you in a while. And addition of filters for verification. As was just mentioned, that there should be a verification mechanisms. There are multiple verification mechanisms not only available in the application, but also again we would be doing it with the help of NADRA. We have included questions on chronic diseases, on the vocational training, on microfinance, characteristics of the labor market, and access to justice. These are all questions which will provide us data with the help of which various complementary initiatives, complementary programs apart from the BISP unconditional or conditional cash grants, programs like providing microfinance to the poor people, providing technical and vocational training to them, or introducing them to the labor market, or catering for their chronic diseases, as the Prime Minister Health Insurance Program is doing. So we would be having data of the entire country on the basis of these variables as well. And then there would be intensive monitoring, and we would be adopting two-phase approach. In the first phase, we would be doing these 16 districts, and then in the second phase, we would be covering the entire Pakistan. The most important thing about this NSER update is that previously, when survey was 2011, it was on the basis of paper forms. Forms with the enumerators took the form to the household, filled the form came back to us, then we did scanning of the forms, then data entry was done. So there was a long process before eligibility could be determined. But this time we are doing a CAPI, computer assisted personal interviews, on the basis of tablets. That enumerators would have tablets. That application, the questionnaire is developed into an application, and that application would be available on the tablet. They will go on the household, put in data there, then and there, and in the evening data would be with BISP servers. So we have inbuilt address directories in their application. There was, the last time the problem we faced was mostly with the addresses. Their addresses were incorrect or incomplete. When we went to look for those people, it was difficult to find them. So we have now built-in directories in the addresses, so there would be uniform addresses. There won't be any problems with addresses now. Then we have inbuilt timestamps for each interview, as Madam Chairperson just said. For each question, we would have timestamp that on what date, at what time, and at what geolocation that question was filled. We would have information for each and every question. And then drop-down menus to minimize data entry errors. Enumerators would have to, for 90% of the time, they would have to just select one option, and they won't have to punch anything in the application. Then family tree formation. This time, this was the main problem. Last time we collected data on the basis of household, but we were unable to make a family tree out of that household. There could be multiple families living in a household, so it is very useful if we have a complete family information and we can make family trees. So this time we have incorporated this in our application, a special feature that we would be able to make family trees out of those households. Then pictures of the households and interview, we will take the picture of the interviewee or in front of that household, and built-in mechanisms for verification and validation by the supervisors. Enumerators would be doing collecting the data, and then data would be going to supervisors. Certain portion of that data, supervisors would be going again to those households, collecting the same data again, and we will then be comparing both the data collected by the enumerator and supervisor, and we'll see the veracity and the validity of the data. And data would be uploaded on BISP servers regularly, and there would be a continuous validation and verification on backend servers, which we would be doing with the help of NATRA. Our key stakeholders in all this exercise is our partner organizations, NATRA, which would be doing data verification, then operation review firms, then internal monitoring teams of BISP, field teams, community, and their representative. These are our main stakeholders in this exercise. The desk approach, as I already mentioned, it is being conducted in 4 districts. It's almost complete now. We have collected data of 80% of the households, and we will be then doing a value for money analysis at the end of the door-to-door survey. And door-to-door, this approach, this is starting from mid-February. Field activities have already started. Enumerators training, master trainers trainings, these are going on at the moment in these districts. This data will be collected by partner organizations, which we have hired through a competitive bidding process, which have the expertise in the field of data collection. This is a huge exercise. We could not do it on our own. We have to hire independent firms which have the experience so they can do this exercise on our behalf. Main objective is to cover 100% of the households. As already mentioned, last time we were able to reach to 87% of the population. This time our target is to reach to 100% of the population. Every household will be covered in the survey, but at its turn. Out of the 10 survey will not be conducted because of the operational and monitoring difficulties. Teams will be deployed at the tehsil level. Every tehsil would be divided into 4 parts. We will start from the one corner of that tehsil, and once the enumeration team, they have completed the enumeration, they will go to the next block, and our operational review team, they will come to that first block, and they will do the spot check and process evaluation there. And then again, for verification and validation, this operation review firm, they would be collecting the same data on the same questionnaire of a certain number of the household, and we will be comparing the data collected by the survey firm and the operation review firm to check the validity of the data collected by the survey firm. Survey will be ongoing simultaneously in all these 16 districts, and once a block is completed, that I have already explained. Then comes the monitoring of the survey. Last time monitoring was done by the operational review firm, but this time we have extensive, at least 3 tiers of monitoring. Internal monitoring through BISP, M&D wing. Now we have a very robust and active M&D wing at BISP, which was not the case in the first survey. So they would be doing monitoring on our behalf. We have field presence. We have more than 450 Tahsil offices available all across the country. So our field teams, they would also be monitoring the exercise. And complaints would be directly coming to the community through community and representatives to BISP Tahsil offices, regional offices, and BISP headquarters. Then data verification by supervisor through CAPI application, which I already explained. Then external monitoring through third-party firms, this operational review firm, this would also be monitoring the entire exercise. Not only the processes which are being done, but also the data which is being collected. They would be doing a shadow exercise and would be doing a qualitative and quantitative comparisons of the whole process and the analysis of the whole process. And on the basis of recommendations of these monitoring, we will be doing course correction along the way. Our M&E would be focusing on enumeration, selection and training, because enumerator is the key person in this entire exercise. The better trained enumerator would be, the better would be the data quality. So we are focusing very much on this enumerator selection and their training. Then communication and social mobilizations. Then area mapping for data collection. Before all our students, you would be doing research, you would be knowing that before going to any survey, you have to do a listing of the households, and you have to do route mapping, all these things. So we would be monitoring all those things. Then effectiveness of human resource deployment strategy for field coverage. Then the compliance with the data security and transfer protocols. We have developed certain protocols, and we will be ensuring that all those protocols are being followed. And built-in grievance redressal mechanisms. There would be built-in mechanisms in the application of the survey firms and the BISP. And transparency of the entire process, and 100% coverage, including all communities like gypsies, minorities, transgender communities, all those communities which were excluded last time. We are trying our best to include all those communities in this time. Then data verification and validation. We will gather raw data from the field, and then data validation within the application. There would be data validation. Then we would improve visuals through dashboards for M&E. Validation of CNIC, that would be done through NADRA. Then the age, gender, the marital status, and all these things. Then we are in consultation with NADRA to apply various filters like ownership of vehicles, use of utilities, ownership of land, government or semi-government service. All these things, the data collected from the field, that would be again verified on the basis of those filters. So far, we have done almost, the 4 districts are almost complete with the dusk approach, and field activities have started for data, for door-to-door approach, and it would be starting, the data collection would be starting by mid-February. And pilot phase, the first phase we would be hoping to complete by May 17, and then we will be doing this VFM, value for money, of both the approaches in June 17, and we are expected to start the national rollout by August 17. The current, basically the NSER, why we call it the biggest asset of BISP, even larger than BISP, because it has multi-dimensions and it has various usage for various government programs, government initiatives, not only government, semi-government or international organizations. We are using it for conditional and unconditional cash transfers, then other federal government programs and the provincial programs like Prime Minister Health Insurance Program, Prime Minister Interest-Free Loan Program, Khidmat Card, Punjab Khidmat Card, Punjab Local Government Department, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Insaf Card, Balochistan Food Department, Sindh Finance Department, and Gilgit-Baltistan Secretariat. All these departments, they are using BISP data because this is the largest and most current and most objective socio-economic data available in the country. It is a prerequisite for effective policy making NSER data because every program, be it the government or the non-government program, it cannot be successful until the planning is being done on the basis of solid evidence or the data behind that. So it could be helped in avoiding the duplication of the benefits, that same household should not be getting benefits from different sources like NGOs, BISP, INGOs, different things. introduce efficiency in all social protection programs across the country, and to convert from untargeted to targeted subsidies. We spend a lot of money on untargeted subsidies, which goes to the poor and the rich together. So it could be used, the database could be used for shifting from untargeted to targeted subsidies, so that the subsidy or the benefit provided by the government should reach to the deserving, and there should be minimum inclusion errors. And the exact identification of population affected by disasters, since we have the geostats of the entire households, entire population which will cover. So if there is, God forbid, any natural disasters in any area, we could be able to tell which were the exact households or individuals living in that locality, in that village, in that UC. And it can be used for the research purposes as well, as you are all students, you know, for data analytics, for research for effective decision making, and robust program evaluations, impact evaluation studies, and publication of theses and research programs. These are the various applications which we would be using. You can see household listing
Those
applications.
labs were meant to give you a time check. Means you're out of time.
This is
and they want tea.
It's finishing.
What he has to say is very important, so please hurry through with your slides.
This is household listing and digital monitoring. These red dots, these are the households which were listed. These are the households which were not listed but surveyed. These are the households which were surveyed, which were listed but not surveyed. So we would be able to see on the screen here, sitting in the headquarters, what is going on in the field, which are the households which are being missed. This is the snapshots of our applications. These are the supervisors who would be monitoring all the activities, and this is the application for that.